Hello, it's October 5th, 2025. My name's Christopher Pridham with Pridham Astrology, and we're going to be looking at synergistic astrology and looking at one of the dominant energies that has been going on. And this particular energy or this particular pattern began in July, and it will go all the way through towards the end of November. And what it is it's a combination of three planets. It's Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto. So Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto combined really deal with evolutionary breakthroughs, levels of what might be considered consciousness. Because you're dealing with Neptune, which is sort of the dream, the imagination, the visionary aspects of life. Uranus, which is spontaneity, push for freedom, push for change, advancement. And then Pluto, which is really evolutionary, sort of evolving change, like this grind almost, as it were. So you've got this grind for imaginary or visionary change. I mean, that's kind of what you're looking at. So, and you take those planets, which, because they're conjunct, they're together, and they come together in what's considered aspects. So how do they come together? And they're coming together in what is called the sixth vibration. All right. And they are, like I said, together from July through to end of November. Now, the sixth vibration is a Virgo base, a Virgo 1 base. It's called the polished social harmony. And so when you bring these planets together in this polished social harmony, what it's saying is that this visionary, progressive push to evolve in polished social harmony. That's what it's wanting to do. That's how does this energy move? It will move and be effective with polished social harmony. All right. So each vibration is it's a circuit. So it's not a singular thing. With Virgo 1, you have what's called, that's the base degree. Then you have what's called the nexus axis. And then you have what's called the Elias quantum point. And the nexus axis is a Virgo 19, Pisces 19. But before that, let me read over what the polished social harmony, how that sort of manifests or what that wants to do. So, and I'm reading from, again, my book, which is, it's this one. Vibrational Synergistic Astrology, and it's the 360 degrees defined. So I'm not like trying to make this up on the spot. This is already, this information is already produced. So the definition is the vibration embodies the disciplined pursuit of self-perfection and the realization of ideals through deliberate effort. It thrives on meticulous craftsmanship, skill, development, and a patient process of turning vision into reality. There's a strong awareness of how dedication, refinement, and belief in one's purpose led to meaningful manifestation, ensuring that work and vision align harmoniously. Now, the negative aspects in this vibration, every sort of energy has a negative manifestation, as it were. So the vibration can lead to superficiality and frivolousness. There can be a tendency towards cunning and double dealing, particularly if the individual's inherent sociability turns into manipulative behavior. Excessive indulgence in pleasure and reliance on others for vitality in early life may lead to a lack of personal growth and independence. Additionally, their strong taste for luxuries and diversions can lead to selfish and a tendency to neglect deeper, more meaningful pursuits. All right. Now, this is written towards an individual. That's the way these are all written. But the energy is the energy. And so the energy has, again, it wants a social harmony. So it doesn't necessarily want conflict. Sometimes it can try to avoid that. But it wants what it wants. So it can also lead to conflict. It's more of a passive aggressive nature almost. So what you have here, again, this is the base energy that the planets come into. So it wants a disciplined pursuit of self-perfection. Now, excuse me, everybody has their kind of concept or idea of what perfection is, how things should be. Whenever you're dealing with Neptune, you're dealing with your image of the future. This can always be a problem because you have an image of how it should look and then how that happens. And that isn't always correct. All right. You might know what you want, but you might be wrong in how to get there. Or even your image of what would be perfect isn't perfect for everybody. So these are kind of all issues that are there. So understand that when I say it's the pursuit of self-perfection, that doesn't always mean it's the pursuit of what's right. All right. It's your vision of self-perfection. All right. So let's go on to the next point. And the next point is where you deal with the nexus. This is the next step in the energy manifestation. So if we're going to deal with self-perfection and mastery, what do we need to go to? Well, there's two places. It is the Virgo 19 and the Pisces 19. Now, the Virgo 19, which is the 222nd vibration, this deals with the passionate social designer. And this vibration embodies a restless pursuit of excellence, where precision and adaptability merge to create a unique form of mastery. So it's both precision, but also adaptability. You need both in order to form a mastery and to this is, again, a deep dive to refine skills, optimize the process, and push beyond the limits, often within a structured or competitive environments. So that's the Virgo side of it. And in the Sabian symbol elements here, you have the simulation that comes from a group effort towards a spiritual goal. And the imagery is that of a swimming race. And it's when man has become an expert swimmer, he has symbolically learned how to operate in a new element. So when you deal with the Virgo 19, you're dealing with how do I operate in a new element? All right, this is where mastery, adaptability comes into play. Now, along with this, you also have Pisces 19. So Pisces 19, that's found on page 516, is called the Balance Transformative Mentor. And the vibration embodies the fusion of wisdom and forward movement, where deep insight is not only acquired, but actively applied. It thrives on the balance between structured learning and instinctual leadership, ensuring that knowledge is both internalized and put into action. So here we have the infusion of wisdom, which is, again, it's deep inward thought. It's but a desire to move forward into structured learning. All right. So in the Sabian symbol, it's a master instructing his disciple. It's the transfer of power and knowledge, which keeps the original spiritual and creative impulses of the cycle active and undeviated. Right. So it's a structure. It's a certain discipline to bring about the transformative change that's necessary. So one requires a sort of competitive dealing with a new element. The other requires a inward finding of wisdom and the structure that comes with that. Now, this is both necessary to the Virgo 6, the self-mastery, okay, or Virgo 1, the sixth vibration of self-mastery. And then finally, what we're going to do is we're going to come to the last, which I think is Libra 6, is what we have. Yeah, Libra 6 is the Elias quantum point. And this is the end point. This is where the energy sort of comes to. All right. Let's see. And if you can't tell, I don't really pre-prepare these. I just do them. Let's see. Libra 6. All right. Now, Libra 6 is inner vision architect. That's what Libra 6 is. It's the 67th vibration. And it says this: this vibration is characterized by a profound commitment to realizing one's life's purpose through various perspectives and methods. It encapsulates the dedication to visualize and actualize dreams, often requiring the individual to engage in meticulous and enduring work. The essence of this vibration involves a blend of tradition and innovation, where individuals respect historical values while striving to adapt and apply these in a contemporary context. The negative aspects include a tendency towards a critical and sometimes overly analytical mindset, which can lead to fickleness and indecision. There's a risk of becoming too conservative, overly attached to outdated traditions, or fixed on labor without sufficient innovation. Individuals can struggle with feelings of isolation due to their disciplined yet top-heavy mental approach, and their strict nature can sometimes alienate others. And this is where you see the need for the nexus in order to keep it from going, in order to keep the Libra 6 from going negative, which becomes, again, too conservative, too against change, too against adaptation. Both of the Pisces 19 and the Virgo 19 dealt with, again, how to deal with a new context, how to deal with a new environment, and then how to find the wisdom within and structure and bring structure. All right, so each deals with an adaptation and bringing in the new. And that's the movement of this complete cycle of the Virgo 1, or the 6th vibration. It's really the movement of the 6th vibration encapsulates all of this. And then what you do, because this is just an energy that's out in the world. So this is not particular to anyone or to any nation or anything like that. I'm not looking at a particular nation and saying this is what's happening in that. This is just in the air. Okay, this is globally. What you do then is you can apply it to yourself personally, or you can apply it to, the U.S. Since we have the U.S. chart, what you do is you typically just put that in the chart. And you do that by looking at the houses, where do these degrees come into play. So like Virgo 1 in the United States chart comes into play. Virgo, there we go. It looks like it's in the 9th house. Yeah, the 9th house is Virgo 1. So Virgo 1 deals with the whole idea of a kind of philosophy. The 9th house is wisdom, higher understanding, sort of global exploration, modernizing for digital learning, and cultural connectivity. All right, so you see this begins with a cultural connectivity. That's really where it's wanting to manifest. So again, with the 6th vibration, which is polished social harmony, in the United States chart, it wants to manifest in the 9th house of cultural connectivity, which, again, beautiful. I mean, it totally fits. Polished social harmony and the context of cultural connectivity. This is where the energy, up through November, this is where it's wanting to manifest. Now, so far, do we see it happening? No, We don't see it happening in a positive way, that's for sure. Maybe the negative, obviously the energy is happening, but it seems to be handling or going towards the negative aspects of these things, which is superficiality, frivolousness, a tendency towards cunning and double dealing, particularly if individuals' inherent sociability turns into manipulative behavior, excessive indulgences in pleasure, and a reliance on others for vitality. This goes to strong taste for luxuries, and diversions can lead to selfishness and a tendency to neglect deeper, more meaningful pursuits. All right. So again, we want to know how to properly move through the energy. Don't do these things. That's how you move through the energy properly. All right. You have to be open to change. You have to be ready to, we're wanting mastery. You don't want to live in the la dream world that never brings anything to the ground, but you also don't want to live in the world of, we're not changing anything, we're just keeping it as it is. Neither of these work in this time if you're going to manifest the energy properly. Now, I say that as both looking at a country, but also individually. If you're in your work, in your business, these are things you don't want to do. You don't want to, that's the way we've done it, and that's the way we need to keep doing it. No, that's really not the energy of the moment. You need to be looking at, how do we change? How do we connect better? I mean, this is modernized for digital learning. The world has changed a lot. And is the kind of work you're doing, the way you're living your life, are you adapting? Are you adapting to the change? If you don't find yourself adapting and moving with it, you're not going to be incorporating this energy very well at all. All right? So to integrate this vibration effectively, you have to balance your love for social activities and pleasures with a deeper sense of purpose and responsibility. So it isn't just all about having fun and, the pursuit of happiness. That's what the American life is about. Yeah, you only get the pursuit of happiness if you take care of the sense of purpose. Why are we even here? And responsibility. You can't have happiness without that. So it's like these things go hand in hand. And that's one of the things that the energies always show is, if you want this, you need that. You have to do that. It's not where, no, I just do what I want, Well, yeah, that doesn't work. You can't just, in a sense, do what you want or what you find pleasure in. You have to balance them with, and this sort of shows, okay, what is the balance for this? Well, the balance for a polished social harmony is that you have social activities, and you're pursuing a certain pleasure. Yes, that's a part of it. It's not where, it's all work, but there must be a sense of purpose and responsibility. And cultivating humility and a willingness to serve others can help them achieve true greatness. There has to be a willingness to serve others too. It can't be just all about you. So all of these things are involved in this. Now, that's the base. So the base goes through a 9th house. And then you have both Pisces 19 and Virgo 19. And Pisces 19 in the US chart is the 4th house, home. So it's home, and it's the 10th house, leadership. So it's the foundation of home and leadership. The answer is both of these, that there must be security. That's 4th house. 4th house is about the foundation, the security, everything that's there. And then leadership is the 10th. How do you lead? How do you move out? And what's your reputation in the world? Both these things are important. These are what are going to connect that 9th house. And then finally, the Libra 6, which Libra 6 is in the 10th house as well. So that also becomes an issue of leadership and how we lead. So how do we stand in the world? That becomes a really important thing as far as the country goes, because we're very much a symbol of freedom and what it looks like. So we're sort of setting the definition for that to much of the world. And again, that's just in that chart. Personally, you'd have to see where the houses are. So you have to look, because I know really dealing in my own chart, the Virgo 1 ends up being in the third house. So it's in the house of communication, of learning. That's where it is for me. And so the polished social harmony comes from a state of communication. That's what becomes important. Sharing what you learn. Then if I deal with a Libra 6, where it's going to end, that's going to be in the fourth house. So Libra 6 for me is a fourth house issue. It's the home, family, foundation. That's where this goes. All right, so it's communication, it's foundational. Again, different than the American chart and different probably than your chart as well. So there isn't one right way to manifest. It's the energy is the energy. You have to learn to find balance in that. So again, with that inner vision architect, and really this in the Sabian symbols, this is the need to visualize clearly one's dreams or ideals in order to make them truly effectual. And, you know, whenever you're working in a group, especially a social group, it's what are the dreams and visions of the group, not the individual. All right, so in this particular dynamic of what we have here, which is the Virgo 1, the polished social harmony, you're dealing with the dream of a group and not just the individual. Now, if you're applying this to your own life, it can be you individually, but it might also be what is your family? What is the purpose of the family? What is the dream there? So again, these are things always to consider in looking at a chart, understanding the nature and the energy that's going on. This energy will only be in this configuration till the end of November. All right, so it's been going on, again, since July. It began in July. It will go on through November. It becomes very strong. And so you can take it, you're going to apply it, either negatively or positively, but you will apply it. This becomes the interplay here. It's what is well conceived can be easily formulated, and then you need to bring it down to the ground to make it real. That's the whole thing. Dreams are dreams and they're wonderful things, but if they're not made real, if they're not thought out, if they're not analyzed, if they're not, see, how do we bring this about, then they become a waste of time and worthless. That doesn't mean it's not important to dream. It is, but you must connect it to making it real, to bringing it to the ground, to manifesting that. All right. And you don't manifest it just by wishing it. Like there's work involved. And that's what we see here. That's what Virgo 1 really is about, the mastery of something. All right. This will last again till the end of November, and then we're going to move into something else, which I'm not going to talk about here, but I will introduce it. It's going to be Jupiter, Neptune, and Pluto. And you're going to see idealism kick up to a totally different level. What do I mean by that? Well, again, you're taking Neptune and Pluto. Neptune is the dream and the vision. Pluto's the evolutionary push. Jupiter expands it, okay? So we have a window to November to start to sort of plant something. If you're not planted, you're going to get into more dreaming. Now, that's the positive expression of Jupiter. The negative expression of Jupiter is just illusions. They're deceptions. They're you run with things you think are true that aren't true. Okay, it gets very delusional, and that's the negative expression of a Jupiter, Neptune, Pluto. It's total idealism. And idealism, well, so from a biblical perspective, idealism is really ideology, or it is the idol worship is what it is. Okay, what do I mean? It means you construct what you think to be true in your mind, and you impose it and you worship it, even if it isn't. That's ideologies. Okay, They are ideas or concepts that are not manifest in reality, and yet you think they will work, and oftentimes they don't. That's why it's so important that you have to apply. You have to figure out, how do you make this thing work? Dreams have to work. Otherwise, they can be delusional gods or idols that you worship that just destroy a life. That's the big thing with ideologies. Ideologies can be very destructive. Why? Because they sound great. It's like, I have this idea that I can just sit at home all day long, eat ice cream and sugar, and my life's going to be wonderful. That can be my dream and my ideal. It's not going to work. My life would be very short, and it would be very miserable pretty quick, because those are not true to living a life. That doesn't mean you can't do that occasionally. There's times when you can do that, but it can't be all the time, because it just doesn't work. But if that's my ideal, that's my ideal. That's what I think. I think that works, and I'm going to live my life that way. And I think I will be able to stay in shape and be healthy and all these other things. No, that's when an ideology not worked out, like you're living a lie, and it manifests because it doesn't work. That's the thing. How do you know when you're living a lie? Because it's not working. That's how you know you're living a lie. If it wasn't, then it'd be working. So that's the energy, one of the dominant energies that we're in right now. Again, it will be till the end of November, and then we'll move out of that into this stronger ideological and dreaming event. And again, positive ways to move through that energy. That's not, the energies are never good or bad, all right? So that's just the wrong way to think about things. There are some very destructive energies that come that are good. They're not, again, I don't want to say good or bad. They're needed. In order to, the illustration I use, in order to plant a garden, you have to break the soil all up. That can be considered bad. Like if you look at, taking that and just destroying all that. Yeah, you have to loosen it up in order to plant the new stuff. So whenever change is coming about, you're going to get a lot of destruction. That's what happens. Yeah. And the illustration I'll use is this. We see some of the images like coming right now from Gaza, and they're horrible. You think of all the destruction and everything that's there. But, if you look, let's say 30 years into the future, most likely you're going to see a beautiful Gaza that's just rebuilt. Everything's modernized. Everything's there. People living and being born and growing up all in that period will understand Gaza in a very different way. Even as you look at Germany today, a lot of Germany is very modernized, very beautiful. Well, that came about because it's built on top of something that was completely destroyed. So it's all about perspective and timing and things. This doesn't justify anything. This doesn't make anything right. That's when you come into the concept of good and evil and that, which again, you don't necessarily want to look at and judge everything that way. You just want to understand what's happening, what are the purposes, and understand what could come from it. So that's a little illustration there of synergistic astrology, just looking at some of the patterns that we're living today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, you can make a comment, you can email me. Again, I'm Christopher Purdom, and I'll talk to you later.